Hello and welcome to the Daily Grind here on Latte Firm Thursday the 9th of October. And Bukayo Saka has now more England goals than any other Arsenal player in our club history. Amazing. Welcome to the show. Tonight we're going to talk about the Emirates expansion plans. We're going to talk about the atmosphere, talk about Jurrien Timber's new contract, David Raya's new contract, and Antoine Semenyo. For me, the missing piece. Want to get your thoughts on all of that. And then Colleen, my great guest, will also give her Q1 review of the Premier League. Colleen, welcome back to the firm. How are you?
Hello. I'm so happy to be back. I'm surprised that there's not a coffee sponsorship yet on here. Just a matter of time, I think. But it's great to be back in the evening on the evening show to have a little chat.
Well, it's great to have you back. It's great to see your face. You're looking well. Life is treating you well.
Yeah, well, it's hot. I don't know how it is in England, but my life is just hot, hot, hot every day.
Do you know,
30,
we're
31
enjoying 31. We're enjoying a little bit of an
degrees.
Indian summer, actually. Prolonged
Oh.
sunshine into the late autumn. The leaves are falling, but Christmas is just around the corner. Blink and a month goes past in this place. But it's great to have you on the firm. Lots to talk about. Welcome to the show. If anybody wants to follow Colleen, she is available on socials at Colleen Shea. Warm welcome to all of our Patreon members, channel members, obviously all the group chat. Mohammed's in the house. Umair is in the house. Paul James, welcome to you. Dave, Rudy Fizzle, talking about international players coming through unscathed. That is the hope tonight. So hopefully, and some minutes for some players. Arsenal Granny, welcome. Glad Miles got a few minutes for England, of course, as well. Lucio, Robert, Viggs, fantastic. Great to see so many familiar faces. Bukayo, the shout from AFC 777. Raphael is here as well. Greetings from the tourist, says title number 14. More to come on that shortly. Colleen, I got to start. Have you started watching the new Love is Blind? I mean, have you seen the first episode of
Yes,
season
yes,
9? Mate,
yes, yes.
they
I've
are
seen all the
lunatics.
way up
Have
through.
you?
Yes,
Lunatics.
madness.
Absolute lunatics.
It's,
I'm 2 episodes in. I'm hooked. I'm going to watch it, but it's mental. So yeah, if you're not watching that, ladies and gents, boys and girls, do check it out on Netflix. England tonight, 3-0 winners in a friendly against Wales. Bukayo Saka has just etched himself in history from an Arsenal perspective, replacing or superseding Cliff Basson as the most number of goals scored by any Arsenal player in club history. What a boy, what a goal, and what a moment for him, Colleen.
oh, I mean, I think, it was a nice reminder because I think some of us may have forgotten, not just Arsenal fans, but fans in general, with his last season, with him having his injury issues and therefore not having, the same numbers there, obviously. And with all the signings from an Arsenal perspective that we've had coming in, thinking, oh, could Noni, there was a small conversation saying, could Noni be displacing Saka or, give him a bit of pressure? And when he comes back into a team, you just see what he adds. And I think it's just testament to him that, for me at least, his signature goal is a sensational one, cutting in and getting it across his body and shooting on his left foot in that same little corner of the box. That's just classic Saka. Once he cuts over, it's game over. It's 9 times out of 10, it's going into the corner. And I don't know if you saw any of the PR by the England accounts on TikTok or on Twitter, but they were showing the team the last time they played Wales about 5 years ago. And it was actually Saka's debut. And a lot of them were like, Jesus, how old is Saka that he was playing in that game at left wing back? And I think that also, because he's what, 24? He's still so incredibly young. And yeah, just we're so lucky. When we're so not only so lucky to have him, but we're so lucky that he does love the Arsenal as well. So brilliant for England as well with the World Cup coming up, and maybe have calmed some nerves with some people thinking, oh, is Tuchel the right guy to replace Southgate? But we can be very happy.
We can indeed. What a player, what a boy, what a human being, what a star, and of course an Arsenal player and an Arsenal fan, which is insane. Indy, you've been doing daily grinds too much when people monitor your beard shape. I mean, no, I've not had it shaped up. Don't you know what that means? I've just been lazy for 2 or 3 days, and here we are. But the facial hair shall go. I'm back in the office tomorrow, and of course I have to see my mum at the weekend, and she does not like my beard. Welcome to Trevor. Welcome to everybody else watching. Keep the chat active. England, of course, have won against Wales 3-0, not a qualifier. Scotland, on the other hand, have just edged themselves closer to the World Cup. 3-1 winners over Greece tonight in Scotland. A fantastic performance and a
Brilliant.
late goal to get the 3 points there. Colleen, last night, no, the night before, I had Red Action, Raymond of Red Action, come to join us because there's been news recently about Arsenal having plans to expand the stadium. And he, of course, gave the viewpoint from a supporter club. But what's your view from, I guess, a fan perspective? As someone as someone who obviously doesn't get to go on a weekly basis now, is this something you'd like to see? Expansion plan, 70,000, 80,000 capacity? There's either a, expand the capacity whilst still being in the stadium, or tear it all down and start again.
Well, it's actually quite funny that we're having this conversation, because this has been something I've been looking into for a long time with stadiums and with the Emirates. It's been something I've been talking about for quite a few years. And in theory, in an ideal world, I'd love for us to get 70,000, or dare I say even 80,000 there in the Emirates. But that's if the conversation could stop there, brilliant. No problem with it at all. But there is so many logistical issues with the Emirates that's going to make this a nightmare. I am talking about, firstly, Islington Council, absolute nightmare for KSC and the Emirates to deal with. Where the Emirates is located is in such a, listen, we love Highbury, we love that area, but it's a nightmare of an area to be located. It's very tight. We have many residential roads, and we already have a massive issue with fans coming in and out of the stadium, trying to leave, trying to get home, trying to get on a train. It's not easy in the current state. So I wonder how they're going to navigate that issue. And then there's the second thing of, okay, well, if it's 70 or 80,000, let's probably say 70. I think that's a bit more realistic. What does it look like? Are we going to move a little bit with the way our away fans are seated there? And with the Arsenal women's team, which I think has been overlooked or forgotten a little bit, the idea is for them to move over into the Emirates. I think almost all of their WSL home games will be at the Emirates. How is that going to look in terms of the wear and tear and logistics sides of things? Because right now we're at our cap. We're at our cap with Islington Council about how many matches we can have. So honestly, I would love it. I think being a team in London, one of the world's capital, like an iconic capital city, and KSC know this. If you've seen LA Rams' stadium in LA, phenomenal, probably one of the best stadiums in the world. You kind of look at, okay, KSC own that, what can they do for Arsenal? And I think that's the reason why it's only been muted as expansion and nothing more than that. Nothing to do with the LEDs, nothing to do with transforming the stadium, because logistically it just doesn't seem possible. But the more we can get in there, the better. But I've heard a lot of fans say, well, we can't even fill the 60,000. We have fans still leaving early as tiers. So what's the point in going bigger? So I think we need to solve these kind of issues. But it does seem like something's going to take a while, and that we probably will be moving over to Wembley, because they declined to have us use the Emirates as a stadium for the Euros. So there's a lot of things going on. I mean, I don't know, how do you feel when you go day in, day out? Do you think an extra 10, 15,000 supporters is realistic there at the Emirates?
Yeah, I've got quite a few feelings, to be honest, Colleen. I mean, look, I want Arsenal to have the best stadium, biggest stadium. When I see the stadiums like the Bernabeu, the SoFi Stadium, even the Spurs Stadium, I look on in awe and think, man, wow, this is like magnificent architectural feats that are fit for purpose in this modern day and age. I mean, we haven't even got decent Wi-Fi in the stadium. I know, as Jay Dimes just said. But like, I think if I'm all open to ideas. I completely recognise the challenges in and around London, transport, logistics, council planning, all that sort of stuff. It is absolutely possible in big city centres, of course. But as Vig says, as long as it doesn't make us organ donors again for other clubs, I'm fine with it. Early 2010s cannot be repeated. Of course, Arsene Wenger suffering during that time, and of course us, not having many honours, not being able to compete. So I want it. It depends on the impact on the club. It depends on how long it will take. I'm open to playing at Wembley for a couple of years. We did it, of course, back in 98, 99. Yes. Arteta's record at Wembley is sensational, but I don't think it's a must-have. I also recognise, Colleen, that we have a huge fan base, and we've got an incredible season ticket waiting list, and there's lots of people trying to get to games all the time. And just on the empty seats, sort of stadium clearing out before the whistle, I don't know if you saw Wembley tonight, from sort of 75, 80, people can be at
Yeah.
home. And
Yeah.
this is just, I think this is like a
London.
London thing. Yeah, it's a London
Yeah.
thing. Like, everyone wants to get home. Travel after a game on a night time at the Ems is
It's a
absolutely,
nightmare.
it's abysmal. Like, if I left at 91, 92 minutes of, let's say, 4 minutes injury time, I saved myself 40 minutes. Like, that is
Yeah.
why I'm going to leave the stadium a couple of minutes early, not least to be with these guys, of course, for a match reaction video. But that's the drift. If anybody wants to find out some more about the details, why stadium atmosphere, an atmosphere is not being great, and empty seats and ballots and the exchange, and what Red Action actually do, there is a video, of course, that was really popular on the channel feed. It's called Welcome to Hell, as a bit of a tongue-in-cheek comment, but do check it out because it's a really insightful video. Colleen, I want to get your thoughts on new contracts. David Raya, back-to-back Golden Glove winner, our Arsenal number one. He's currently on, reportedly, £100,000 a week on a contract that expires 2028, so still some time to go. But the club have been reviewing salaries that existing players have. Leo Trossard, if you remember, a few months ago, getting a bit of a pay rise. But apparently this guy is looking for a slight pay rise, which Arsenal are very happy to do, but also tying him in for another year or two. What do you make of this?
All deserved, really, isn't it? Deserved. When you have, and I'm not just saying this as an Arsenal fan, I think statistically we have had one of the best defense in the top five leagues, or in Europe in general, for the past couple of seasons. We do need to tie down our players and show them that they are rewarded for the good work and effort they're putting in. All right, we haven't received a trophy yet, and I know that some people are like, grumbling a little bit, like, we're getting them on higher wages, and will this have an impact in the future around who we can bring in? Is it going to make our purse strings a little bit tighter? Things like that. For me as a fan, I don't particularly concern myself with that aspect. There are people with much smarter and on a higher pay grade than I am to worry about whether someone getting an extra 100k a week is going to impact our transfers in the next couple of years. So for me, it's not something I concern myself with. He hasn't, and the rest of the defense actually haven't walked away with anything they deserve. They deserve, a title for what they've been doing for us. And let's cast our minds back. Only 2 years ago, people were not, all for David Raya. He came into an environment where, and I think he knows this, that the fans were not all for him. And then when he did displace Ramsdale, you could argue he was a little bit shaky, perhaps, coming in. He definitely wasn't as good as he is now, which you can understand, coming in, the pressures on the club and whatnot. And I think we do need to remember that, he did come into an environment where, I'm not saying fans were throwing abuse at him, but he definitely did not have the whole fan base welcome him with open arms. And I think he's really proven to himself, the fans, and Arteta that this was a really good investment. And he knows, we all know, Arteta's quite, well, not all the time, but at least in the goalkeeping area, he's quite cutthroat. He's been quite cutthroat over the years with his keepers, with Martinez, Leno, Ramsdale, and now we have Raya. I think we can all feel a little bit settled with who we have there at the back, and he just seems delighted to play for the club. I'm really happy for him.
Well, it feels like, beyond left backs, this is Arteta's favourite position. He's had so many goalkeepers in his time. I've got to say, I'm with you. I feel that, I had a connection with Aaron Ramsdale, and that I really had a soft spot for him. I loved him. I really felt sorry for him at times when Arsenal fans went in hard on him in the media when he made those mistakes. When we signed David Raya, I was scratching my head thinking, what are we doing? £3 million loan with a commitment to pay an extra £27 million on a goalkeeper when we've already got a decent keeper in Ramsdale. And Ramsdale was a really good goalkeeper, shot stopping, really good, just on the ball, and generally what this guy has done has blown my mind. Like, he's come in and just elevated that position in a way that I never thought would be possible. And he's been so consistent. Like, I know he's got an insane defense ahead of him, but he is a key cog to that sort of machine. And I know there were some errors kind of into his game towards the back end of last year. I do wonder about sort of mental fatigue, and maybe that's why Arteta's gone out and got Kepa. Maybe we're going to see reduced minutes for Raya in maybe some of the cup competitions this year, but he's phenomenal. And I like what the club are doing. I found it crazy. There was some guy on Twitter who was saying, not sure about giving these players a high pay rise at a time when they're not winning trophies. And I'm like, mate, were you not here when we had to lose our best players year after year, and we are competing on the biggest fronts. We're so close. You want to tie down your best players, and this is exactly what we're going to do. So another couple of years. Bear in mind, also, Colleen, goalkeeper's gone for a long, long time. So yeah,
Yes.
I'm really pleased, really, really pleased. Another player, Colleen, that is going to get a contract extension, it would seem, is Jurrien Timber, Mr. Consistent. First of all, tell us about your thoughts on the player, and secondly, I guess reinforce why the club looking to tie him down.
Well, a similar situation, really. He had a bit of an unfortunate start to life at Arsenal. One game in, one ACL, and didn't see him for a little while. And ever since he's come back from injury, I don't think we praise enough coming back from such a significant, long-term, serious injury, not just physically, but mentally. The way he slotted right back into that team and has been, as you say, Mr. Consistent, has been absolutely phenomenal. And we have an absolute stacked defence. Anyone can come in and out. There's a lot of competition for places, maybe, horses for courses, depending on the game. Maybe we might take him out for someone else. But right now, it's quite hard to justify him not being in the squad. Dare I say, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. You can absolutely trust him at the back. He's an absolute wall. And going forward, he does give us, we do have different options from our fullbacks when going forward, but he's just such a calming presence. I'm never at all worried when either if he's going forward or if he's defending one-on-one. I don't have any concerns. I don't think I've barely ever seen a mistake from him. He's someone who also deserves a pay rise, and if he does get an extra year on his contract, just for how mentally resolute he has been from that injury. And I just don't think he gets enough credit for that aspect. But I think the general consensus is, wow, what a player. What a player that we have there. And as you say, with Ryan, as we're so close to touching some silverware, it's a question of when, not if. And I don't say that arrogantly. I do genuinely feel, and I think most fans from other clubs do feel like it's a question of when, not if. And if we don't sign him down, we will be losing our top players. We've seen it at Liverpool. We've got it from the past, even when we weren't as successful, in quotes. We've seen them come, go, let players get into their last 18 months. It's just something that can't happen. At a big club, a top club, you absolutely can't let it happen. You need to reward your players and make sure we have them locked down. So I think we all have to say, well done to Berta, well done to the leadership, well done to KSC so far, because given the resources and where we've come from and the players we brought in and managed to retain them, despite not actually winning anything yet, chapeau, hats off, incredibly good, incredible.
Indeed. Jurrien Timber, of course, another contract that expires 2028, reportedly on a salary of 90k a week. It could be going up to about 150. For me, Colleen, my favourite player at the club, beyond obviously all of our attacking talent, like we talk about Bukayo Saka, and there are so many other players that people like. I have a real soft spot for unsung heroes, and he was my player of the season last year. Those of you that have been watching this channel for a while will know that. They can vouch for me. I just love him. I love everything about how calm and composed he is. He's so strong. He's so good. Defensively, almost unbeatable. He's only 24, as Jason W says in the chat. Social join saying Timber is actually a captain. That's why he's such a pro. I appreciate it. Like he's like the most unsung, unassuming, sort of silent, quiet killer. Do you know what I mean? At right back. And I love him so much. And he's so consistent. And to do what he has done and is doing, from the injury situation that he had, the first game he played for Arsenal in competitive fixture, to go down and then miss the whole year, the mental resilience that takes, and then the belief to have in your own ability and to release your body and to go full pelt. The guy's insane. And we've got Ben White who's waiting in the. Can you believe Ben White is 28 years old? I couldn't believe that.
Really?
Yeah, it was his birthday. Yeah, just on Ben White. I mean,
Is.
I love him. Yeah, Arsenal wished him happy birthday. And I was like, I wonder how old he is. Yeah, 25, 26, 28. We're all getting old. But Tenacious Timber, as Rachinov says, Timber is the one, man. I could not be happy. And if we can get another, 2028 plus 2, give him the money that he wants and deserves, a fantastic player. Phenomenal. Let's move on to something that I've been thinking about for a long time. Antoine Semenyo. Now, listen, he's obviously flavour of the month because he's had a fantastic start to this season for Bournemouth. But I've been talking about Antoine Semenyo now for maybe 6 to 8 months on the back of, actually about 10 months, because it was in the Sky Sports team of the calendar year last year when Jamie Carragher just opened my eyes and he was talking about the off the ball work that Semenyo does and how hard he works and how he presses. He is a pressing demon. And I thought to myself that what's the gap in the team? We had such a sterling summer this year. We added so many good, reinforcement to the right positions. That left side, I love Gabby Martinelli. I think I'm running out of patience with Leo Trossard when he's not scoring and assisting. And I know that sounds batshit, but there's a reason for that, which I don't want to repeat too much of. But I think there is potentially a role for someone like Semenyo to come in and join Arsenal. This is a bit of a fantasy thing for me. So before I look at sort of shop maps and stats, where he might fit in chat, let me know. Is Antoine Semenyo the sort of player that you'd like to see? There are others out there, Bradley Barcola, Rafael Leao, and one or two others. Rodrigo, who of course we've been linked with, but this is the guy that I want. When I suggest that, Colleen, how does that grab you?
I mean, yeah, I think it's more than the flavour of the month. I think everyone's looking at Semenyo. I think he's got over 80% of Bournemouth's goals this season. I mean, that's incredible for any team, for one player to have. He's extremely direct, and that's something that we've been screaming for. We've been screaming for it, and when we've seen Eza, and he's been so direct, we've been like, oh my God, great. And we've all been looking at that left wing side of things, with Martinelli, I'm in an R in Trossard, I'm in an R in. You do feel this could be maybe not necessarily just maybe missing piece might be a little bit too harsh on Martinelli and Trossard, but to take us to the next, like another just margin higher, I think he has that absolute insane possibility to do. Now, the big question is, Bournemouth know this. Every other big six or every top club, not even just in England, in Europe, will be having their eyes on Semenyo. So he will be definitely will be a very big fee. And we would need to sell something for a big fee to allow that. Because I think we've also forgotten that KFC have said a few years ago that, yes, we are putting money into the team, but the idea eventually is to be sustainable, is to be completely sustainable. So I'm not sure how realistic it is, but I think if we look at the squad, if you lay out the whole squad, everyone in their positions, we do look over at that side thinking we could do with someone who is direct, their off the ball work, their defensive work, especially in a unit, which Mikel is probably one of his top things, and their output. You're thinking that side is probably what we're looking at. And, even though Martinelli has been out, but when he's been coming on recently as a sub, it seems to be doing him the world of good. He's been showing us what he can do. But you do feel with Trossard and Martinelli, their problem is when they're starting in this moment in time, and probably a bit of last season, they're just not having the effect that we need when they're not scoring, as you mentioned. And you do feel Semenyo could change that dynamic. But is this a case of being a little bit too, how can I say, being a bit too greedy, a bit too gluttonous, perhaps? The season's just been going, 7 or 8 games in, the transfer window's just closed, and we're already eyeing up someone else for the left wing position. Like, what's going on here?
One of the deadliest sins, gluttony, and I'm here all for it. I mean, look, for me, you've nailed some of his attributes on the head, and we'll look at shot maps and positions shortly. But like this guy off the ball, demon presser, works so hard, up and down, great endurance athlete, lots of stamina, covers all the ground, out of possession, Arteta's dream. On the ball, he progresses and carries. He's ambidextrous, as someone's just said. He can dribble, he can run, he's quick, he's got power. There's so much to like about this guy. And of course, he's adding goals and he's contributing, like you say, 80-odd% of Bournemouth's goals this year. That's his sort of output. 25 years of age. He was born in England but plays for Ghana. Hasn't really hit the big time up until his time at Bournemouth. And Bournemouth he only joined a couple of years ago. So starting off his career at Bristol City, he had a loan move to Bath, went on loan also to Newport County, had a loan move at Sunderland which didn't go well for him. Ended up at the South Coast at Bournemouth and is absolutely flying. And it's really, really good to see. And when you think about his output, This is a shot map from this season, courtesy of Optra Analyst, our partners here. 17 shots on goal this season in the league, 6 goals. And look where he's scoring from, one from the spot, but one from that left-hand side. The other sort of 4 goals coming from central regions, 2.43 shots per 90, very close to Eberechieza and to Noni Madueke. Now, you might be thinking, well, this is quite a small sample size. So let's take it back and look at last year. I love this image, Colleen, because to me, this looks like a player who's comfortable playing almost across the front three. He can come in from the left, he can come in from the right, he can play central. And he talked about, there's a lovely video going around, I'm sure everyone's seen it, about his Emirates Stadium being his favourite sort of stadium, and he won't tell us why. But he said very confidently, I'll play left wing, I'll play false nine, I'll play a big man up top, I'll play right wing, no problem. Wherever you want to play me, I'll play. And look at that, 125 shots, 11 goals, 3.5 shots per 90 in the last season. And he's popping up everywhere. I mean, his goals also from within the 6-yard box, just outside the 6-yard box, and one just from outside the area. So when I see this, really, really turns me on in terms of like what we could add to the team. Does it excite you as well?
Yeah, I mean, look at the way Arsenal play as well, and the way the way Arteta likes his player profiles. He likes a player that can be versatile. He likes a player that can interchange and pop up anywhere. And I'm not sure if the statistics support what I'm about to say, but we often associate with Arsenal, and we often say, "Oh God, we just need to shoot more in positions that we're in." I mean, we see sometimes we get a lot of shots in a game, but we can still shoot more. It feels like sometimes we feel like, oh, you know, we're not getting enough shots on the edge of the box or across the box in general. And he does that. I mean, the picture paints the story here. It tells the whole story. I think it's someone that any team would be lucky to have, and you would suspect in a team like Arsenal as well, those statistics would only go up with the way we dominate teams, where we dominate the ball and the way that we dominate and really pen teams back across their defensive line and across their box. So it's very encouraging to see. And I'm sure Bournemouth are also very encouraging with not only with their start to the season, but they're thinking, great, quid's in. We've lost big players before. We lost big players this summer. We know how to rebuild back from this, and we can, if Semenyo keeps his form up, we can demand a very, very, very big fee for him. And, judging by the statistics, it's justified. And I saw someone say in the chat, and I think they're right, I don't think we've seen like an ambidextrous player in Arsenal as good since the Santi days. And, oh, God, how lovely was that to have? How lovely
It was sensational.
is that to have?
Sensational.
Just something different to have.
I think so. And listen, a lot of people talk about greed and whatnot. This is what big clubs do. If you want to be a big boy club, you got to act like a big boy, and that's what we need to do. Josh Miller makes a really fair challenge. To be fair, I think missing pieces, poor phrasing. I hold my hands up. Is about upgrading on talent when the opportunity arises. We have grade A talent in every position except for the left wide position. Josh, you're absolutely right. Obviously, I cobble these slides together in the hope to try and make it a bit exciting, and that's my fault. We have such a great squad, such a great team. But this is a player that I would love to see at Arsenal. If I just move forward one more slide, I want to talk about his positioning, and he's talked about his positional versatility. There was obviously the quote from that interview, but again, courtesy of Optra Analyst. Look at where he's played this season. He has played across so many different positions. Left winger, central attacking midfielder, albeit for just a few minutes. Right winger, obviously he can play left midfield, right midfield, and he even did a few minutes at left back in one of the games. Another position that Mikel Arteta has a big soft spot for. So, look, in terms of positional versatility, like if you're looking for, Noni Madueke can play left, can play right. Eza can play obviously left, wide, forward, but also sort of centrally, I guess. Saka, Arteta started switching him around. Having another player that can be played or deployed in a number of different positions is just another string to our bow, right?
Yes, exactly. Especially when we seem to be picking up injuries like nobody's business, an injury a game. We need to have top class players that can pop up in any position. And we're starting to see teams to clock that. Now, when I say that, I mean our game against the Hammers, but it was West Ham we just played, right? West Ham, yes. We saw Saka start popping up centrally. But we also started to see that he wasn't being doubled and tripled up across now because we had Gyökeres there. They couldn't risk that. And we haven't, no disrespect to Kai, I love Kai. I love him. Please do not take this as kind disrespect, but it's not necessarily a player you need to double or triple up on in terms of the way he plays. Now, if we could get a little bit more of that unpredictability in terms of the opposition manager being like, right, we've got Saka there. And if we did have Semenyo, it's like, oh, I mean, if we double up on Saka, we've got Semenyo there ready to go. It can cause us a huge problem. So, okay, well, we might need to not double up on Saka. We need to kind of spread, who do we pick? Whereas we haven't seen that so far, and up until we brought Gyökeres in. So I think the more headaches we give for opposition managers as well from that perspective, thinking, Jesus, unless we have a really good one-for-one man, we really got to pick who we double up on, and then consequently someone else is free. So there's also something else he would provide us, and him being ambidextrous and being able to play across there is amazing. If he almost looks like, if you covered his picture and his name, you'd be forgiven thinking, am I looking at Saka? Because left back, left midfield, left wing, right, it could be him. Which is really great to see. And Mikel looks at the small details, the small margins, and being able to have that in your Arsenal, no pun intended, is something that we all would love, and something that Mikel would love as well.
Absolutely. Adil says, if Big Bertie wants him, we get him. And Raphael, to answer your earlier point, are we talking this and willing this into existence? You damn right we are. You damn right we are. Let's move away from Antoine Semenyo. Look, listen, there's obviously speculation out there. He is under contract at Bournemouth. He signed a new deal just a few months back. There are rumours that he could go or would be open to going at a release clause fee of £70 million. Whether that's next summer, whether that's maybe January, I don't know. There are people on socials talking about, Arsenal being keen on him and contract negotiations, or not contract negotiations, but approaches being made. But one to watch, and I think the noise won't go away. And this is a player that I would absolutely love to see at the Arsenal. Let's wrap up the show, Colleen, and talk about the season so far. I really want to get your thoughts on, I guess, Q1 of this season. We're 7 match days in. We are top of the league, sat handsomely. And I wanted to get your thoughts, just because you've not been on the channel for a while. How do you think it's been, the Barclays, this season? I mean, Arsenal are top, Liverpool are second. Liverpool 3 bounces, 3 defeats on the bounce now. Chelsea unpredictable, getting that last gasp win against Liverpool. They've got such an amazing squad of talent, despite so many injuries, managing to lay one on Arne Slot's men. And Pep Guardiola with Erling Haaland, the Terminator up top. They look like they're not going to go away this season. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I think we need to give a shout out actually for the newly promoted teams. Finally, we've got some teams that are coming up. They're not utterly useless. I mean, if we had some teams that weren't utterly useless last year, we may have seen United or Spurs be in desperate trouble. So I'm really happy to see the likes of Sunderland. Oh boy, Granite.
Yes.
Oh boy. Oh boy. The likes of Burnley, the likes of Leeds showing a better showing of things. And it's great for the league. It's great for the international watchers of the league. Not so great for the top teams who want to pick up points easily when in the FA Cup or when fighting for a title. You would like an easier fixture. But the saying is true, there is no easy fixtures in the Barclays anymore. And there hasn't been for a long time. So I want to give them a shout out. Good on them. They're showing up some of the Premier League's longer stays, like West Ham, for example. I mean, if we look at the big boys in the picture, I mean, Arne Slot, whether I'm being a hater, I could be being a hater. Maybe I'm not thinking rationally. So feel free to throw pelters at me. But I felt like this was a long time coming. A long bloody time coming. I don't think Liverpool have played that well since even February. With the way our situation pans out, we couldn't effectively challenge or put the pressure on. But I wasn't that impressed with them. I did feel like, a missed opportunity almost. And then this season, I said at the after the Community Shield, I said, Liverpool going forward, you can never discount Liverpool, even in the Klopp era, going forward, electric, heavy metal. But my word, as a defensive unit, not great. They're going to score a lot, but they're going to concede a lot. And, they have done, and it has felt a little unsustainable. I mean, you can be happy if you keep scoring last minute winners, but it's not going to happen all the time, surely. And, we've started to see that fragility happen. And, I think there's been a bit of discourse around Van Dijk's post-match comments where he said, well, I'm surprised we were even here anyway, given with the Diogo Jota situation. And, it's such a sensitive thing to talk about or to even criticize So it's not something I'm even going to delve into if that's how they feel and that's how, you know, there's a lot going on behind the scenes there. So I don't want to touch too much on that aspect. But I do feel like Arne Slot is now starting to, we're starting to see, him, sweat a little bit. And I do think he needs to be a little bit cuter almost, a little bit more pragmatic in the league. You're defending champions, and this conversation that they're in transition is absolutely ridiculous. They've spent 450 million? They broke the British transfer record twice. They've strengthened their squad. And don't get me wrong, I understand when a player comes in, they need time, but to call them a team in transition is ridiculous. It's still only a point or so off the top, but one to watch with them. Will they have the mental strength to recover after this international break? And to, 3 losses on the bounce for any of the big clubs, if that's Arsenal, Chelsea, City. Well, I'm not going to count United or Spurs in that, but it's a bit of a question mark, and that leads us to Maresca. I think a lot of us have felt with Chelsea since the takeover. You look at their team sheet, you're like, who's this? Who's that? What's going on here? Who? So it's really hard to keep up with Chelsea, but I do feel Maresca's brought them a sense of, okay, they're not in the form to title challenge, but I do think he has added a level of stability there with the squad that they have, and I think he is slowly starting to turn things around for Chelsea. So I think he's one to watch. I do like him a lot. I like him a lot. I mean, their squad, I think their downfall really will be their squad, to be honest with you. They can't catch a break with injuries. You do feel like they've got a lot of players, but how many of them are top quality to really take them to the next level? The jury's still out there. And then we have City. Their air of invincibility has gone, hasn't it? It's not, they don't quite feel the same. You don't quite fear them the same. And I think one of the reasons they're still in the bag, you can't discount them. You got the pep factor, but I do feel after last season, the beginning of this season, that's wearing off. But you're looking at the likes of Donnarumma and Haaland. If you've got them two in your squad, you've got a pretty good chance of winning a game. So you can't discount them, but they're definitely not the juggernaut of 3-4 years ago. So it puts us in quite good, dare I say, good stead to touch all the wood that you can find around you to not jinx it too much. But that's kind of how I've seen it. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, do you agree, disagree? What do you think?
Yeah, listen, I think it's been a really interesting start to the season. I expected Liverpool to just fly out of the blocks, 500 odd million euros spent in the summer, adding to a team that won the league at a canter in the end. I understand we had our injury challenges and whatnot, but the team that wins the league at the end of the season deserves to be there. And I'm surprised that they've stuttered and they've faltered. Arne Slot has a very irritatingly good skin regime, which I'm very jealous about. Let's not talk about that. Enzo Maresca, fiery character, unpredictable. Chelsea have got almost so many players that you're right. I think the sort of harmony in the squad is probably going to dictate whether they explode and burst and just fall out with each other, or if they can do something special. I hope not, and I doubt it. I think City are a big threat, Colleen, I got to say. I know Rodri's just picked up a soft tissue injury, but there's rumours he could be back after the international break. Surprise, surprise. You talk about Donnarumma and Haaland. That is a very strong spine to a squad that is pretty good, and Pep is obviously a top coach. So I think they're going to be serious. I think they're going to be there or thereabouts. I think those are the top three: Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea. Don't know what order yet. City, sorry. The old enemy, look, Thomas Frank is a really nice guy, and they look like they've had another good start to the season, but they start well under Ange, of course, and remember how that sort of all ended. United are just a mess, top to bottom, and they want to keep hammering for another 3 years. So please,
Thank God,
I thought it was April Fool's. I was like, what?
what?
So look, I mean, that's the sort of big six, if you like. I'm with you. I think it's lovely to see, the likes of Leeds and Sunderland doing bits. I think eventually the sort of balloons will burst and they'll sort of, drop down a little bit. West Ham with Nuno Espirito Santo now at the helm, I think they're going to make a late charge for survival. Newcastle, unpredictable, has the departure of Isak, sort of got them all together and almost created that sort of, siege mentality? Or is it just going to be, them feeling sorry for themselves once they're dumped out of all the competitions? I don't know. So lots to look forward to. And I love the fact that there is jeopardy. There is jeopardy now back in the Premier League, and hopefully it's going to be us that wins it. Who's going to win it for you, just before we leave?
For my mental health and for the sake of my bloody heart, I sincerely hope it is us. I can't go through this again. I can't. I can't. So for the sake of the fact that I don't end up on blood pressure pills and with hypertension, I'm going to say Arsenal. So let's hope for the best there. But I do think I'm always positive. I'm always positive it's going to be Arsenal. But I do really think this. I don't get last year I said this year. No, this year I think we can do it. No, this year you look at the squad and I think many say, do you know what? It probably will be them. It probably will be Arsenal just by how, they're not leaking any goals and they've got more of a complete squad. So I think it's a safe bet.
We are
Please,
we are
please,
so
please.
difficult to beat. You're absolutely right, Colleen. I mean, we've conceded 3 goals in what, 9, 10 games? We are very, very difficult to beat, but we've got some really good fixtures. Viggs has just said we go 5 out of 5 in the next 5 league fixtures. He believes we can run away. He or she believes we can run away with the league. I mean, look, I don't want to get too carried away. I think we're in a really good place. We have a great squad. We've got a very talented manager. The fans seem really united and connected with the team. I think greatness awaits for us. So let's wait and see.
Once
But
we
thank
do
you.
it, I do think it will go bang. I have to say, I do think once we finally, get the alluded title or dare I say Champions League, I think from then it lifts the pressure off, and I do think we will go bang. Huh? Please, so anyone,
Can't wait.
please, anyone.
Can't wait. I hope you're right. If anybody wants to follow Colleen, she is available at Colleen Shea on socials. Colleen, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your company. I've thoroughly enjoyed that tonight. Let's not leave it too long until you come back onto the firm. Thanks also to everybody watching. We are almost at 100 Patreon members, by the way. So once we do that, there'll be a mega giveaway. Thanks to all the support that we get from that community, and of course the YouTube group, YouTube membership. That is also very gratefully received. Wembele and I will be back tomorrow for the late night lounge, and then of course it's just a non-Premier League weekend because of the international games coming up next week. So we'll try and do something over the weekend. Look after yourselves, sleep well, enjoy the remainder of this Indian summer. Colleen, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for joining us. Take care, and bye for now.